One of the first stories to go viral in the new year, Twitter booting Dr. Robert Malone off its platform just before appearing on the Joe Rogan podcast, which gets only about 11 times more attention than CNN. And more than 1 million views now of his first one-on-one directly following Rogan. Free from censorship and slander, Dr. Malone was able to break down his bioethics concerns and expertise. Yep, Dr. Malone is an expert, worthy to be heard from. Debate all you want about his contributions to mRNA technology, but there's no denying his about 100 scientific publications with over 12,000 citations of his work and serving on HHS and Department of Defense committees. All censorship has served to do in the case of these doctors is wake people up.
So you'd say you've been red-pilled?
In like multidimensional red pill.
Now, each week I'm bringing you what's ignored, sensationalized, unbalanced, misleading, or just plain false. But I'm happy to point out when the news gets it right. Local 12 out of Cincinnati put out this article. Calls ring out for Fauci to debate virologist after Rogan podcast appearance. Rightfully free from unnecessary adjectives and giving credit where credit is due. The article does not ignore his commentary about mass formation, the theory for why some aren't looking more critically at the data and attacking others. And it even closes with the context, the eerie emails between Dr. Fauci and former NIH Director Francis Collins collaborating on how to squash opposing viewpoints. And reporting old news as new, here's CNN. People who are overweight or obese are at a much higher risk of much more severe disease and even death from COVID-19. And one new study suggests that losing weight can reduce that risk. Except the first study mentioned is from August 2020. The article acknowledges the obesity epidemic has been a threat to Americans' health for years. It's the second leading cause of preventable death after smoking. But how many of the public officials, including Lord Fauci, have been pushing better health in order to save lives? But they sure didn't mind pushing free donuts to get the jab.
Get in my belly!
The irony wasn't lost, with Twitter users saying nearly half of Americans gained weight during the lockdowns, with an average gain of 29 pounds. By closing things down, we actually might have increased the risk, including closing gyms. And while Biden continues to pill push for Pfizer and try to force injections, missing from the mainstream, pointing out conflicts of interest. There are many. But how about this example? Pfizer and others donated millions to Biden's inaugural. Could this be the same reason Trump stays loyal to the shots? He also received $1 million from Pfizer to help finance his inauguration, according to documents filed with the U.S. Federal Election Commission. Speaking of conflicts of interest, the Poynter Institute came out with another doozy of an article this week. You know, the place that touts itself as a global leader in journalism, that champions free expression and dialogue, yet tries to shut down dialogue with its PolitiFact, only targeting voices it disagrees with.
Right.
Oh, and funded in part by none other than Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the National Endowment for Democracy, and George Soros. The headline, want to keep journalists from quitting? Invest in them now. It says the U.S. Department of Labor shows 4.5 million people quit their jobs in November. And job listing website Indeed saw journalism job postings increase by 35% from August 2020 to August 21. The reason? Journalists want more training. Right. And the week wraps up with the MSM treating January 6th like a memorial holiday. They continue to call it an insurrection. Never mind, no one has been charged with that. There's nothing to celebrate about January 6th. The rioting should never have happened. But here are some things to never forget about that day. The way media has tried to inflate the number of deaths that day while ignoring the one death authorities confirm: an unarmed veteran, Ashley Babbitt, shot by Capitol Police. The glossing over of media mistakes, like claiming an officer was bludgeoned with a fire extinguisher, an outright lie. The lack of interest in FBI involvement, and an instigator mysteriously not charged, Ray Epps.
We are going to the Capitol!
And have we all forgotten about the pipe bombs? The FBI has been able to trace and track down all involved, except for this person. Plenty to never forget. And that's your media malfeasance for the week. For KLIM, I'm Kristi Leigh.